About 3 months ago, I was in Phoenix, Arizona with Lexus to drive a vehicle that represented a new era for them, the completely redesigned 2022 NX crossover. And as you can see, this week I'm back home where Lexus has sent me an NX 450h Plus to drive for a week in the middle of winter here in Pennsylvania. As you guys know, with the NX 450h Plus, it shares the same plug-in hybrid powertrain as the Toyota RAV4 Prime, which means we have up to 304 horsepower under the hood from 3 different power sources, standard all-wheel drive, and up to 36 miles of all-electric range. So now that I have the vehicle back home for a week to test, the big question I want answered, has Lexus done enough here to make this vehicle worth its $10,000 premium over a RAV4 Prime? And have they also done enough to make this vehicle worthy competition against the likes of Lincoln, Volvo, and of course, Audi? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we get started on the walk around for this vehicle, I want to first start, of course, with under the hood, because the Lexus NX 450h Plus represents the prime of the NX lineup because it shares the same powertrain, of course, with the RAV4 Prime, which means you have a gas engine and you have up to 2 electric motors, giving this thing a total of 304 horsepower. Now, just like the Toyota version of this car, you start off, of course, with the company's signature 2.5-liter naturally aspirated dynamic force 4-cylinder that runs on the Atkinson cycle. That makes around 179 horsepower on its own. It has a pretty powerful electric motor in the front that adds like another 177 horsepower, and then it also has a separate electric motor at the rear axle, giving it all-wheel drive that adds another 53 horsepower. Lexus says this vehicle will require premium gas, and it makes a total of 304 horsepower. That's actually 2 more horsepower than what you get from the RAV4 Prime. Lexus does not disclose the torque output of this engine, just like Toyota. It all goes out through an e-CVT, through an e-electronic all-wheel drive system, which is standard, as I said before. Now, of course, the Lexus version also means that it's a little bit heavier because it's got some more sound deadening materials, which does reduce the fuel economy a little bit. 84 mpge is the equivalent miles per gallon when you're running on electricity and the gas engine. That's a reduction of 10 mpge from the RAV4 Prime. If you're gonna run this vehicle as a hybrid and you're not gonna plug it in, it's gonna basically get around 36 miles to the gallon. That's 2 mpg less versus the RAV4 Prime. It weighs in at around 4,500 pounds, so it's about 150 pounds heavier versus the Toyota. And Lexus says you should be able to tow a maximum of about 2,500 pounds with this vehicle, which is the same as the RAV4. It still has the same 18.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which means it qualifies for the $7,500 tax credit. And Lexus says the EPA certified number is about 37 miles on a full charge, or about 550 miles when you are driving this vehicle in gas or gas and electric, when you deplete both of its power sources. 0 to 60 performance is around 6 seconds, and this vehicle should reach a top speed of around 126 miles per hour. Now, looking at the styling of the vehicle, let's talk a little bit about, of course, this particular one that I'm showing you, which is not the F-Sport model that I showed you guys a couple months ago in Phoenix. This is the base luxury package model. So it's the more, I guess, subdued styling of the vehicle, which again, still looks very similar to a lot of other Lexus products. In fact, if you guys have seen the styling of the new IS, this is gonna look very familiar because the headlights are practically the same. You can see my tester has the premium triple beam full LED headlights, which do look nice. You have an LED turn signal, an LED daytime running light, which the 2 lights aren't actually divorced like they were on the previous generation. Instead, it's just one continuous piece. You have LED fog lights down here with an LED accent light next to the fog light, and you can see the Lexus spindle grille here has a slightly different finish. You can see it has kind of like this chain link look to it with a gray textured finish. I much prefer the grille on the F-Sport model with its black intricate L's that create like a mesh finish, and then you also have a larger air intake. You can see that's actually functional, which is nice, but the air intake is larger on the F-Sport models. This particular one that I'm showing you is painted in cloudburst gray, which definitely makes it look a little bit boring in my opinion. I would definitely consider looking at, you know, their brighter colors like the Grecian waters. They offer a bright orange. They also offer a beautiful nori green pearl. This gray just looks a little bit boring to me, but again, color is all going to depend on your specific taste. Now, this vehicle here has the 20-inch wheels that you get with the luxury package. They're riding on 235 45 width tires. These wheels are 235 50 width tires. These wheels are all season tires on Bridgestones. Like I said earlier, all-wheel drive is standard. The F-Sport package gives you a nice black finished wheel. And because this is now riding on a new platform that it shares with the RAV4, it has a wheelbase of around 105.9. That's the same as the Toyota. It's 183.5 inches long. This is about 3 inches longer versus the RAV4, but it's also about the same size as its competitors like the Volvo XC60 Recharge, the Audi Q5 plug-in, and the Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring, which I've only driven the Volvo in those 3 that I've mentioned. Now, I do want to confirm a couple of things with this vehicle. Now, first of all, my tester is not the F-Sport model. It just has a standard sunroof. That is standard on every plug-in hybrid model. However, if you're looking to buy the Pano roof, Lexus does not offer it on the plug-in. You can get the Pano roof on every other model except the plug-in of the NX family, which is very confusing to me because you can get a panoramic sunroof on the RAV4 Prime. So I'm not entirely sure why Lexus is not offering all of the luxury specific options on their luxury crossover vehicle, which is one of the newest vehicles that they have in their lineup. Now, looking at the rear, you can see styling of this vehicle certainly looks a little bit more distinctive back here with the full LED taillight that kind of runs and connects the 2 taillight modules together. You have an actual LED turn signal, LED reverse lights, LED brake lights, and then you have the new Lexus styling here where it spells out Lexus at the back. It says NX 450h Plus, no F-Sport badges, of course, on this model. And I'm also confused why there's no dual exhaust tip like you might find on the Toyota version of this car. Lexus, I guess, wants to go again with a more electrified look with this vehicle with the lack of visible exhaust tips. Now, the cargo capacity of the previous generation NX was kind of a problem because it was very small compared to a lot of its rivals. Lexus did fix that this year a little bit. You get around 23 cubic feet of space with the second row seats up. They also offer some nice underfloor storage over here, which is great. The battery pack, or the 12-volt battery, is actually underneath here on the plug-in model. You can see this is the mobile level 1 charger that it comes with. This is nice to get this little bit of storage over here. If you want to fold down the second row seats, Lexus says that expands it out to just under 47 cubic feet. That is a little bit less versus the previous generation in total cargo and about 20 cubic feet less than what you're going to find in the Toyota. So kind of keep that in mind. The shape of this vehicle, even though it is longer, offers significantly less cargo space versus its more mainstream cousin. So now that I have the new NX for a week to test, I want to show you a more in-depth view on the infotainment system. But before we get to that, let me first show you guys the key fob for the vehicle. As you can see, this is the current Lexus key. The company also offers their first ever digital key, which means you can use your phone as a key. Obviously, I can't show you that because that's really only reserved for people who own the vehicle, since this is a press vehicle. It's what I'm just borrowing for the week to test. Now, as you can see, first approaching the vehicle, I mentioned earlier in my first review, this is the first Lexus model to get their new digital latch door system. The door handles themselves look very conventional, but they're actually fixed in place. They don't move. You push this little pad on the back and that opens the door for you. In case the power goes out, there's also a manual way where you can pull that lever there and that will open the door for you as well. So you can still get into this vehicle. That is actually available on all 4 doors, so you don't have to compromise with the front doors. Now, my tester here has this really nice looking, rich looking black and cream full leather interior with this kind of orange stitching. It looks really great with the two-tone. It's a great color combination with the cloudburst gray. It also has this kind of black finished wood, which is genuine wood with some metal looking trim. The door panels, you can see, could be nicer material. This is a soft touch injection molded plastic, but most competitors stitch this in full leather. For a car that has the luxury package, I think the door panels look a little bit cheap on the upper portion here. This also feels nice and soft, at least, where you have some genuine padding. This is a nice real leather over here. And then it's hard touch plastic down here. Some of the switch here you can see is what I expect from Lexus, like the window controls, but this here looks like it was taken directly out of a Toyota. So there's a little bit of mismatch in some of the interior materials. The seats, however, are pretty comfortable. These are the full leather bucket seats. Lexus offers a new Lux fake leather as standard. You can see the seats are a 10-way power adjustable on the driver's side with 2-person lumbar. Which is nice. You have 3-person memory on the driver's side. These seats are also heated and ventilated, along with a heated steering wheel. That's included, of course, with the luxury package that my tester has. Now, this vehicle does have less ground clearance than the RAV4, and you notice that when you get it, it still has a nice, easy step-in height. And then when I shut the door, I noticed that you kind of have to slam this door a little bit. It requires more of a tug to get it to shut. I kind of think that Lexus should include soft close doors. However, this is very low on the totem pole for, where it fits in the lineup, that I'm not surprised it doesn't include soft closed doors. Now, looking at this interior at a glance, you can see it doesn't really feel all that luxury at first when you get in. And I'll reiterate on that a little bit more. The power button to turn everything on is a little bit too high. I found myself pushing this button a few times, which is the drive mode selector, to turn everything on. But you can see once you turn it on, it has a new chime. It has a fully digital display in the instrument panel and a massive 12-inch display here, of course, in the center stack, which is part of the new Lexus Interface infotainment system. It's a completely redesigned cloud-based system that's designed in-house by Toyota and Lexus in Texas. And then you can see here, the CarPlay booted up very quickly. It is wireless. However, there are times in my week's worth of testing that I noticed that the CarPlay did not wirelessly boot up. I actually had to plug it in manually to get it to come on. That happened a few times during my week's worth of testing. But of course, right now it's working perfectly, which is a little bit frustrating, but hey, at least it looks fantastic and it's a really nice size. Now, in terms of the materials, you can see this is a soft touch injection molded plastic, but it looks, again, it doesn't feel quite as upscale Lexus as I felt in other Lexus models. Now, I will keep in mind that this is kind of an NX, so it's at the lower end of the lineup in their hierarchy. At least the steering wheel, however, is much nicer versus what you find in your typical Toyota. The leather feels nice and high quality. You have stitching over here with orange accented stitching. You have a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel, which is kind of a rare feature to find in the compact luxury space. You have paddles on the wheel, and then you have these new controls on the steering wheel, which are actually touch sensitive. So if I touch this right here, you can see in the heads-up display, it actually shows you what you're actually touching. You can push this button here, it'll change the display, which is pretty cool. Same thing for the other side. You touch it on this side, you can see this is for your audio controls. Push this button, it switches it over to more audio controls or phone controls. So that all looks very good. This 10-inch head-up display is included on my tester with the luxury package. It's the first time that the NX actually offers a heads-up display. Now, what I don't like about this new interior is this right here. This very small full digital display, you can see, has a couple of separate screens there for the analog, or not analog, but they are separate digital displays for the battery indicator, for the fuel gauge. I really think that Lexus should have just done one large piece here and have it be like a 12-inch display like most competitors. In terms of the adjustability, you can adjust the drive mode here, which will change the way that looks to a tachometer in sport. Kick it back over to the left, it'll go to eco. Push it in, it changes to white for normal. I just wanted them to offer more customization here, like offering a GPS screen in there, offering more impressive looking graphics. You can also kind of change the way this looks by adjusting the display a little bit more. You can also change, put a little graphic there on what power source you're using. You can put your audio information, a G meter there. So there is a little bit of adjustability, but I just expected a little bit more from Lexus here for a completely redesigned model. So this is a little bit of a disappointment. Now let's come back to this over here because this is all new. You can see the CarPlay looks great. It's quick and snappy. It's easy to use. Going over to the Lexus display here, my tester, of course, has nav, but it's not actually subscribed. You have to actually load up a profile here when you're the owner of this vehicle, so I can't show you the actual embedded navigation because it's not loaded up and subscribed. You can see there's your audio information. You can go over here to enable audio. It does work very, very well. I also like how the graphics are large. It's very quick and snappy. You can adjust all your different presets over there, which is nice. This also has their new Lexus personal assistant, so you can say things like, "Hey Lexus, hey Lexus,
what would you like to do?
Where is the nearest Lexus dealership?"
Sorry, you have to be subscribed to cloud service to use navigation feature. To learn more about what you can ask me, please say help.
So yes, I can't show you that, but at least the personal assistant feature brings it up to, again, what you find in a lot of the competition. Going over here, basically the way the screen works, you have the main screen over here, which shows everything. You can put the CarPlay here, which is nice, or you can also go back to the Lexus screen. All your usual apps are going to be actually over here to the side. There's no dedicated home page, which kind of annoyed me at first, but I'm actually okay with it now because most of the times you're just going to go to like the car over here. You can show your different fuel economy consumptions, your trip information. Going to the settings here, this is where you can adjust several different things. Vehicle customization is where you can adjust things like the heads-up display, the interior illumination, the door control, the driver assistance stuff, the lights in this vehicle, the illumination. This is the first Lexus vehicle to get their new interior lighting, which is pretty nice. Now, obviously, they offer several different themes here. Heat blue is probably one of my favorites, along with the afterglow. It puts this warm interior lighting behind in the door panel, in the instrument panel, or in the footwells, and some of the dash controls. But I will say at night, it's not quite as intricate as what you see in some of its competitors. So I think Lexus needs to do a little bit of work there. It's also not quite as bright. It doesn't look as pretty as what you're going to find from the German competitors. So it's nice that they offer it now, but it still could be a little bit more impressive looking, in my opinion. But overall, the new infotainment system, at times it can be a little bit slow to respond. At least it's slow to boot up, but most of the times it works well and the graphics are fantastic. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your full top-down 360 camera. It has graphics that finally are worthy and befitting of a luxury brand. It also has trajectory and distance markers. It has parking sensors front and rear. If you push this little button down here, you can see it gives you a full 360 perimeter scan, which also looks good. And my tester also has the parallel parking feature and perpendicular parking feature. So that's nice if you guys aren't very good at parking. I tried using it a few times. It's a little bit slow to engage and disengage, but it works well for those of you who aren't very good at parallel parking. As I mentioned earlier, this is your drive mode selector. There's basically Eco, Normal, and Sport, no Sport Plus, because this doesn't have the F Sport package. This is a wireless phone charging pad right here, and there's also a little bit of storage underneath here. You can slide this out, give you a little bit of storage there, which is nice. Cup holders over here. You have an electronic shifter, which is different versus the RAV4 Prime. And then you have all your different drive modes here as well. You have a hybrid and an EV mode. You can kind of switch between the modes there. The engine you can hear fired up. And then there's also kind of like an off-road setting here, a little bit electronic parking brake. The piano black plastic trim here does get fingerprints all over it, and it shows dust annoyingly, so I don't really like the piano black over here. Love the center console, which is nice and padded, offers good amount of storage as well. The seats are also pretty comfortable and supportive. They feel high quality. You have very nice LED lighting in the cabin over here, and then you can see just a standard sunroof. Lexus does not offer a panel roof, and they also don't offer the Mark Levinson premium sound system. Instead, we just have the 10-speaker Lexus premium audio system, which sounds okay, but the 17-speaker system that's excellent in the other NX models is frustratingly not available in the plug-in hybrid version, along with the panoramic sunroof. At least you can get the digital rearview mirror. This is a cool feature to have that improves visibility in this vehicle, and Lexus's safety system 2.0 or 2.5 is going to be standard as well. It has lane trace assist, lane keep assist. It has forward collision warning, rear cross traffic and front cross traffic alerts. So the interior, again, has most of the tech features that you want, minus of course the premium audio and the big sunroof and the plug-in. It does feel a little bit more cramped versus some competitors. You have good visibility. This, of course, looks impressive, but it just doesn't feel quite as luxury enough for me, considering the fact that this is an all-new product wearing a Lexus badge. I just think that Lexus could have done more to make this cabin feel more special. A competitor like the Genesis GV70 quickly comes to mind when I think of a class-leading interior. Checking out the back seat of the NX, the rear seat legroom Lexus claims is around 36.5 inches. That's a reduction of about 1 inch of legroom versus the RAV4 Prime or the RAV4. But you can see the seats, they look pretty cool. They have that same kind of black and two-tone, black and white cream two-tone look as the front seats. These are full leather. The back seats themselves here, however, are not heated. It's missing an option package that would include the heated back seats, which would have been nice. The seat back here also offers a slight recline function, which is good, especially if you guys are looking for that feature. Now getting in, you can see at 36.5 inches of legroom, there is plenty of space back here for me. At 5'7", you can see the floor is not completely flat here, which would have been nice. You have two USB-C charging ports. You have rear seat air vents, which is nice. And then the materials back here are soft touch, slightly soft touch. This actually feels a little bit more hard touch to me. And then you have more stitching over here. You still have these interesting door handles where you push this button to open up the door handle. It'll actually prevent you from opening up the door if the car senses a vehicle is coming to the side. And if the case the power goes out, you can basically double pull this door handle manually to open it, but most of the times you just want to push that. That'll actually open the door for you, which is a nice feature. You have two map pockets, which is great. No cell phone pockets. Some competitors are putting cell phone pockets over here. And you can see there's an armrest that folds down, gives you two cup holders. It would be nice to have the panel roof here to let in some more light, but at least you do have things like full LED lighting back here, which is a nice touch. And then you have the same nice wood grain. So overall, the back seat is, I'd say, average for the segment. You have good headroom and a good amount of space. I like how the seats recline, but I'm surprised to see that my tester is missing heated rear seats, especially with the $60,000 price tag. So here we are in the future of Lexus, the 2022 NX 450h Plus, the company's first plug-in hybrid electric version. And when I first drove this car in Phoenix about 3 months ago, I was pretty impressed with the electrified model, not so much with the gas-only turbo engine, the new engine, which I'll be getting for a week later on to do a full battery of tests. But the plug-in hybrid essentially gives you the same powertrain out of the RAV4 Prime. Now, of course, that was back in Phoenix in September. Now we are in winter here in Pennsylvania, having it back home. I can finally test out the range, which I'll talk about in a second on the electric only range. But the first thing I do want to test out is the 0 to 60 performance of this vehicle. So let's go ahead and see what this vehicle can do. Remember, this is in sport mode. It's a plug-in hybrid, and we'll essentially just put our foot down and floor it. It's actually slipping a little bit. Wow, I got 6.09 seconds with plenty of wheel spin. So it is a little damp out here. We actually just got, it was raining pretty much all day yesterday. We got some snow down here. So the Bridgestone all-season tires are having trouble putting the power down, but 6.09 is a smidge slower than what Lexus claims at 6 seconds. Remember, this car is about 180 pounds heavier versus the RAV4 Prime. So of course it's going to have a little bit less performance. Now this car is rated at 304 horsepower, so it's a little more power, 2 more horsepower versus the Prime, and I'm going to chalk it down to getting more power because the vehicle uses premium gas. Lexus does recommend premium gas in this vehicle. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually turn off the traction control entirely, or turn off the stability control, because it was cutting the power annoyingly. And let me see what it can do. Still having trouble putting the power down. Come on. 6.23 seconds there. So sadly, in these wet conditions, this is the best I'm going to be able to do. But it's pretty fast performance. This is the quickest accelerating version of the NX in the NX family, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, 304 horsepower. It puts it a little bit higher versus its main rival, the Lincoln Aviator or the Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring, but it's got less power than the Audi Q5 plug-in hybrid and the Volvo XC60 Recharge, which has the most at 400 horsepower. But just like the RAV4 Prime, this is a really nice vehicle to daily drive. It has plenty of electric motor torque. So even in hybrid mode here, I can put my foot down, and aside from the drone from the engine, which is very un-Lexus-like, I still don't love the drone from the engine. Just like in my RAV4 Prime, I did not like driving this vehicle in hybrid mode, even though it gave me the most power, and the CVT is very responsive. Put your foot down, you can feel that instantaneous torque where the electric motor gives you the torque, and then the gas engine will rev up to give you its additional power. It is a nice drive, and it has plenty of power. Even though this is technically slower versus the Audi Q5 plug-in and the Volvo XC60 Recharge, I'd say that this feels the most electric compared to the Volvo, at least. I haven't had a chance to drive the Q5 plug-in or the Lincoln Corsair GT, the Grand Touring plug-in version of that vehicle. But I do love the way that this vehicle drives in the same way that I enjoy driving the RAV4 Prime. So I think this is still the model to get if you plan to daily drive this vehicle and you want to have some electric only range, and you also want to be able to drive this vehicle on long distances, because remember, with 36 miles per gallon, this vehicle should be able to do around 550 miles of total range. Now I'm trying to get the vehicle back into its electric only mode. I switched it back to EV mode. It's going to take it a second for it to turn the electric mode, go back to just electric only and shut off the gas engine. But in my week's worth of testing, I will say that the range of this vehicle, let's talk about that, because Lexus claims 37 miles of range. And in these colder climate area and the colder climate conditions with the fog, as you can see, I've been getting around 35 miles of pure EV range. That is a little bit less, about 5 miles less versus what I was getting in my RAV4 Prime that I owned for a year. So you are making some compromises with this vehicle. It's a little bit slower. It has 2 more horsepower, but it's also, it's only getting that from premium. I imagine the Prime, if you put premium gas in it too, it should probably get close to that as well. But now that the vehicle's back in electric only mode, let's go ahead and put our foot down here. And the cool thing about it is even with my foot all the way to the floor, I've got about 55% charge right now. It's staying in electric only, which is nice. However, it is significantly slower. You should expect a 0 to 60 time of around 9.2 seconds, a little over 9 seconds when it's in electric only mode. That's pretty similar to what I was dealing with the RAV4 Prime. I'll see if I can retest it really quick before we end the driving scene here. But my tester is missing the F-Sport package, so it doesn't have the adaptive variable suspension, which would be nice to have. It doesn't have the Sport Plus mode. The steering is a little bit light. It's got the 20-inch luxury multi-spoke wheels as opposed to the black wheels. The S-Sport package is more of an appearance package, but I am noticing that the vehicle handles nicely, but it's not the sportiest offering in the segment. I mean, the Acura RDX is far sportier to drive than this. Even something like a Mazda CX-5 feels sportier to drive, but again, that's a non-premium brand. You're going to be getting more sportier drive out of a BMW X3, obviously, or even an Audi Q5. That's something to just keep in mind when you guys are looking at this type of vehicle. Now, I just want to see what it'll do here, 0 to 60 in electric only. And we'll go ahead and we'll put it into sport. It's nice how it's in pure electric, but it is significantly slower in this mode. significantly slower. Oh my God, let's get to 60, come on. There we go, 8.92 seconds, which actually isn't horrible at 8.92. That was going slightly downhill, so we are getting a little bit of assistance by going slightly downhill. I want to try that again really quick and see if I can do a slightly better or a more accurate time where we're not going downhill. Nice torque off the line, and no wheel spin this time because we don't have overwhelming amounts of power going to the front wheels. 10.13, so that one was going more on level ground, so it's almost a second slower versus the RAV4 Prime in electric only mode. So kind of keep that in mind. It is a lot slower performance wise, like almost half as slow, but you'll be surprised in electric only mode, this vehicle actually has plenty of power, and you're really only going to notice it lacks power on the highway when you're trying to pass, but down low at low speeds, it's got no engine noise, so it gets rid of the drone that I don't like about the 4-cylinder. And then when you put your foot down, it just has plenty of torque. It feels like an electric car, and that's kind of the beauty about the plug-in hybrid versions. If you can get your hand on this car, you know, it's nice. Now, when you are driving it in hybrid only mode, let's talk about the fuel economy. It got around 32 miles to the gallon in my week's worth of testing. It's rated at 36. It's not bad. I think you could get slightly better if you drove it more conservatively and you're not driving it in the middle of winter. The driver assistance tech in this car also works pretty well. It's a little bit more high tech versus the one that you find in the RAV4 Prime, because this is of course the newest platform that Lexus offers. The seats are also very comfortable. Visibility is good. It's an overall nice car to drive, but you really do notice the reduction of interior space in this vehicle, which I think could be a deal breaker for some. I mean, yes, the interior feels slightly more upscale, but I question whether or not this vehicle is, you know, good enough to overlook the compromises it makes versus the RAV4. It's certainly a compelling vehicle against its competitors like the Volvo and the Audi, but I'd argue that those vehicles offer a nicer cabin. This is certainly more compelling versus the Corsair Grand Touring, but at the same time, the biggest competition for me is going to be the RAV4 Prime because it offers more space, more range, better or quicker acceleration, and it's also about $10,000 less expensive. So after spending a full week with the NX 450h Plus, the flagship of the NX lineup, just like the RAV4 Prime, I am pretty impressed with this vehicle as a daily driver. It feels a lot more like a full electric car, and it also gives you the most electric-only range that you're going to find in this segment, about 10 to 20 miles more range versus what you're going to find from the Lincoln, from the Volvo, and the Audi competition. Its horsepower and acceleration numbers also kind of fall mid-pack. I mean, I got 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. In these wet road conditions, which is plenty of power for most people. I am going to really like the way the technology also works. I like the new infotainment system. It works well. It looks great. I like the wireless CarPlay fact. I like the fact that Lexus now offers over-the-air updates. So the infotainment technology in this vehicle has caught up to the competition finally. Where I find myself confused about the new NX, it has to do with the packaging. I think the interior also still feels a little bit cramped, even compared to its luxury competitors. I think the cargo area also feels a little bit smaller than what you're going to find from the Volvo, from the BMW, from the Audi, which could be a problem for those of you who need the actual space. I also don't like how Lexus doesn't offer a couple of upscale features that I expect from a vehicle that wears the Lexus badge. I would really like to see them offer a pano roof on the plug-in hybrid model, and I also really think that they need to offer the Mark Levinson premium sound on the plug-in model as well. You can get those features on the base NX, the turbocharged NX, and the regular hybrid, but for some reason it's not available on the plug-in, and it could be because of COVID due to supply constraints, but I think that Lexus needs to hurry up and rectify that immediately because I think those are features that luxury buyers are going to demand. Now, speaking of which, this is a luxury car. It's going to come with a luxury price tag, and the plug-in hybrid version of the NX starts at around $55,650. 55 grand makes this nearly $20,000 more than the base NX 250, which has a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder minus the electric motor, minus the turbocharger. So it is a significant chunk of change more versus the base model. It's also going to make the NX plug-in hybrid more expensive versus the Audi Q5, the Volvo XC60 Recharge, and the Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring, about $1,000 more expensive than the Volvo and the Audi, and about $5,000 more expensive than the Lincoln. Now, of course, this price is before the $7,500 federal tax credit and whatever state incentives you might find in your local area. Now, my tester, of course, with the premium package, the upgraded wheels, the upgraded full leather, the cloudburst gray interior or exterior color, with destination. This one here is stickers for just under $60,000, for $59,900. That makes it about $10,000 more expensive than the RAV4 Prime. And for me personally, aside from the nicer infotainment system, I would probably just save that $10,000 and just go with the Toyota. I mean, yes, I rag on Toyota for having the older infotainment system. However, once the RAV4 eventually gets that new infotainment system, it's going to make this car even a harder sell, especially if you want more upscale features. Now, keep in mind, at $60,000, this does make this car a little bit less expensive than the Volvo and the Audi and the Lincoln fully loaded, but then you also are lacking a couple of the premium features that you might find in the Volvo, such as the upgraded audio system and the panoramic sunroof. So it's all going to be compromised. So I think Lexus has a little bit of work to do with the packaging of the plug-in hybrid model. It still represents, for me, my favorite in the lineup because I wasn't really too impressed with the turbocharged engine, but I haven't had a chance to drive just the regular hybrid version of this car, which offers about 20 more horsepower versus the RAV4 hybrid, which could be the sweet spot in the NX family. Well, with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2022 Lexus NX 450h Plus. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.